powered by Tampon, the American Minority Political Outreach Network.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. You like listening to podcasts, don't you? Have you ever thought about starting a podcast of your own? If you're a hardcore podcast fan, you probably have, and you've probably got something great to share with the world. I'm Nathan Frazier, and I've created a free online podcasting course for people just like you. Pre-Launch Secrets gives you the top 5 secrets you need to know in order to launch a successful podcast. You'll learn how to create the core concept of your podcast, how to build a solid audience, and how to consistently generate great content for that audience. These are the secrets the pros use when coming up with ideas for their podcasts. And after this course, you'll have them all at your disposal. The course is free. It's taught by me. Enroll today. Go to podcastblastoff.com/course. That's podcastblastoff.com/course. Podcast Blast Off, the future of podcasting.
Real people, real radio.
Initiating the truth frequency.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com. Mike P. Kriston H. The Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com.
What up, guys? We are live here. It is Wednesday, February 24th, live here on the Rundown Live, rundownlive.com. Mike Pachesney, Kriston Harris. We have a guest tonight, Kriston, don't we?
Yeah, we sure do. Living the dream, former frontman and lead singer of the Misfits, Michael Graves, will be joining us tonight, and we'll be talking about his upcoming tour as well as band life. So I'm excited to talk to him. He's a libertarian person, so I'll be interested to see what he has to say.
It's always interesting to get the musicians on. I think that they're more free-thinking individuals. They're more creative. They look at the world a little differently than the more analytical people that work in offices with zeros and ones all day.
Well, right, they follow their dreams, and they actually have motivation to go after things like becoming a musician and, being an artist, or going out there and being an activist and causing change, or combining their passions with activism. You're seeing a lot of that now all throughout the industries, whether it's Joy Camp and their short videos, which are hilarious.
Literally in a band called the Misfits. I mean, that's enough said right there.
Well, horror punk rock band. So it'll be interesting. But there's a lot of interesting stuff in the news today. I don't know if you saw my daily rundown, but it's full of robots, and it's interesting to see now that poaching robots are out there hunting people who are illegally hunting, and they're so lifelike, Mike.
I do remember we talked about this probably about a year or so ago, where they were going to start putting the robotic deer in the woods, looking for poachers and people who are hunting illegally without licenses. And then if the hunters, shot the deer from the road or whatever, then they would be able to find out exactly where they were, using the robotic deer that's always spying.
They look real because they're made with real.
Do their eyes turn red like when they get shot, like the Terminator robots, like zing, like they start like getting
like
all
lasers
angry.
coming out of their nose? I thought it was something straight out of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, when I first heard of it. I was like, oh boy, this is what Ace could have used. Alrighty then, So, yeah, lasers shooting out of the eyes. They're going to walk around. I was actually thinking more so on the as a form of surveillance, Mike. Like, how close could you get a deer to a house that you couldn't get a human being?
Yeah, that's true. Everybody likes seeing the deer grazing in their backyard, right? You don't have any problems with that?
Yeah, you're going to come right up to your window and maybe even let you feed it, and then its red eyes will light up. It'll be recording you.
Like you start talking about, like, not voting, and all of a sudden you look in your backyard in the middle of the night and you see, like, these red eyes. Like, what the hell is that?
It's just a deer, Daddy. It's just a deer. Oh, look, there's more of them, and a black bear. Speaking of which, the black bear drone costs $5,000 versus the deer drone, which is only a $2,000 robot. So this guy has a niche here in Wisconsin, and go figure, it comes from a hunting state. So we got robot deer walking around now. I wonder what happens when a robot deer crosses a road and a car hits it.
I don't know if they're going to be doing much walking, but after I saw the Atlas video yesterday of the robot, it wouldn't be surprising me if the deer robots are jumping fences and all kinds of stuff in the near future.
Well, yeah, we got robots that clean, robots that sweep, robots that open doors, robots that exit buildings, robots that get pushed around and get picked up. Robots that do just about everything out there. And I talked about that on the Daily Rundown. I couldn't believe, how they have robots now that just jog in the forest, Mike. They're running up hills, down hills, and they look like a human form. It's almost like a iRobot scenario where we're going to have a pet robot soon, or a pet robot cat. So, I mean, how far away is that, a pet robot cat? You can have a cat that never dies, and you don't have to feed it or take it out or let it use the bathroom. Get all the benefits, but it's an cyborg kitty.
Ah, the future. It sounds like a great time.
So exciting. Anyways, I did want to mention one article here before we get into anything here with Michael Graves or plug the show. But did you see this article, Mike? Secret police. Virginia considers bill to withhold all officers' names. So they literally want to just withhold all police officers' names now, it looks like.
Well, yeah, in CIA Virginia with the FBI and the CIA and all the alphabet agencies, of course, that makes sense. Virginia would love to keep that a secret. And then you have Pennsylvania, the U.S. District Court ruling that, it's just illegal now to film the police. That's a big thing that they've been pushing for a while now. They really hate you filming the police, even though they're public and, taxpayer funded. Just go ahead and not do that. Even though there's not a law, we're just going to say it's illegal, and even if you take it to court, we're pretty much just going to rule against you and set a precedent that says, yeah, you just can't film the police, even though there's no law against it.
Well, they got to protect their interest, which is the police, and I think that the whole system, from everything from the training to how they handle people that abuse the system is wrong. So it's crazy to see how this police state mentality is spreading.
Before we go to Michael and the plugs, I do want to mention two more stories. We don't have a lot of time to talk about these. Maybe we can get into them with Mike. But 45% of Americans pay no federal income tax for various reasons, which I thought was interesting. We can get into that later. And then Scalia spent last hours with members of Secret Society of Elite Hunters. I thought that was interesting as well.
Really? The Secret Society of Elite Hunters.
And then who ended up getting hunted in that situation?
Well, maybe it was the hunt of the bull, and they went after Scalia, and then pillows just happened to fall on heads.
A human would be the ultimate prize, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then they inject them full of, what is that chemical that they put in?
Formaldehyde.
Yeah, then you can't get a toxology report. And who ordered the autopsy or did the autopsy? A judge over the phone.
Yeah, exactly. No one.
No one actually saw.
But we should probably talk about the site real quick, and then we'll get Michael Graves on.
Yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning into the Rundown Live tonight. If you haven't had a chance to yet, check out our website, therundownlive.com. We have new articles and information up there daily. I know I wrote an article yesterday about police drones patrolling neighborhoods. Take a look at that, as well as all our other articles written by activists who are actually on the ground and many great people who we've had on this show. So do check out therundownlive.com for this information. Also, while you're there, make sure you check out our awesome private internet access. It allows Mike and I to search the internet anonymously. We can check our emails, download, do cool things like avoid Reddit bans and video game bans. If you guys have those old gift cards sitting at home, what a great use. They take your old gift cards and even Bitcoin. Also, if you guys have one of those handy dandy tablets or cell phones now, make sure you guys go to your local app store and get the Rundown Live app. The app is free. It's available on Android platform, iTunes app platform, Amazon.com, as well as Windows. If you guys can't find us there, we're also on YouTube. The app is pretty cool because it allows you to get limited edition material, bonus features, email us, and have direct access to our Facebook and Twitter. So download the Rundown Live app. It is free. I want to say thanks to Chris Gio, who has helped make this broadcast possible, broadcasting us on Denver 90.7 FM, Eugene, Oregon 97.3, as well as many other platforms. If you guys are around your TV lately, they've gotten pretty smart. They now have Roku and Amazon Prime, as well as what else is there? There's so many of them out there. Netflix, all this other stuff. Well, right now, the Rundown Live is available free on not Netflix, but Roku, Amazon Prime. We're coming to Xboxes, as well as being available soon on Android TV. So do look for us there. We're under the Conspiracy Channel, who has been so kind to give us another platform to spread our message of liberty and freedom. So interesting stuff, guys. And again, thanks to all our listeners out there. You guys make this show possible. We're 100% listener funded and supported. So thanks again, guys. We really appreciate it. Now, anyways, so today we have a pretty interesting guest joining us. We have living the dream, former frontman and lead singer of the Misfits, Michael Graves. Michael, are you with us here on the Rundown Live? All right, I don't think we have Michael here yet.
I'm here. I hear you now.
Oh, we got him. We got him.
We got him. All right.
There seems to be some sort of like weird, like when we hook up on what we're hooking up on here.
Yeah, that's very
Technical
typical.
issues.
Yeah, very typical. It seems like it always happens. We joke it's NSA.
We're so used to that by now, Mike. It's like this is how we run our operation around here. But it's a pleasure to have you on tonight, man.
Well, thank you very much. The pleasure is all mine.
So, me and Chris Don were talking kind of before the show, and we always kind of think it's funny that, we talk about all this liberty and freedom and our rights and stuff, and it always comes time and time again that we end up talking with musicians and how much music and, these topics come up together, even whether it's lyrics or the message or whatnot. It's kind of interesting how these things are always connected.
Well, I believe that music is a magical medium. There's really nothing else that I can think of that we experience in this physical experience that we're having that animates our soul, that touches us in such a deep way. And I think I know that it's connected to natural human liberty and the human spirit. So I think that music and art just naturally go together and just complement liberty as well as the liberty movement.
Well, before we get into all that, I have to ask you, Michael, how did you get involved in music? What was it that motivated you? When
I was very young, I'll be honest with you. The first thing that I ever wanted to be, when I was very young, I wanted to be part of the church. I wanted to be a priest or a minister when I was very, very, very young. And then something changed, and I remember this from a very, very young age. My mom was always had a radio on. She was always playing music, and I grew up in a house with my mother's younger brother, my uncle, and he as well was always playing music and had records on. And I remember the music having a profound effect on me, a physical effect on me, a mental effect, where it was just it reached inside me in a very profound way. And I quickly shifted to wanting to be an artist, to be a musician, to be an actor, to just be an artist, and I embraced it wholeheartedly. So it was just something that I was blessed with. God put it in me to have a love of music and art, and I've always felt compelled to make music and enjoy music and reach people and communicate to them my experience, how I'm feeling through that medium.
Well, it definitely is a relief. I know that they even have studies on this, that music actually heals. I think it helps people through difficult times, helps them to deal with a lot of the emotions that they were feeling, especially in the past. I don't know how much more with all the prescribing of medication that's going on in the world around us. People still feel things, but I do think that music has its role in healing, especially when it comes to breaking up with your girlfriend or, political stances. I mean, there's so many bands out there that really have a political message to really, impact the world around them. They want to change things. They're always the first to be some sort of activist or really at the forefront of spreading some sort of message because they reach so many people on a different level. People find themselves in the shower singing lyrics. So when they, when other people don't remember things other people even say half the time, you got people, quoting your words and they say it over and over again. They start to learn and research things that you sing about. It's fantastic. It's amazing.
Yes, there are, ancient, philosophers, very deep thinking folks that from a very, very early time in human history wrote about how powerful music is, and that it should be it should be viewed as such, as a very powerful medium that if used used in the wrong way can do great damage to societies and to souls, and the same the opposite is true if used in a positive way, and use that power and wield in a positive way that it can certainly uplift humanity.
Well, we see that today, Michael, with the entertainment industry. The people talking about more relevant subjects aren't exactly the most rich and the most successful. So if you talk about, things that are more relevant to the people, you're not necessarily going to be performing on the Grammys or the Super Bowl halftime show.
You need to make triangles with your hands.
That's true. Well, that's true because culture has been weaponized, music is weaponized, art has been weaponized, and you look into rock music, especially hip hop music, the messages that are being put out to the masses, if you will, is not a positive one. It's not a message that's going to bring us all together. In fact, it's going to continue to tear us apart, and that's what it's meant to do. In a lot of ways, I can't give a pass to these musicians and these artists that are taking up the mantle of, for example, like Black Lives Matter, or any of these other ridiculous militant groups that are about dividing folks instead of bringing them together. It's a battle that I love waging. I love waging this battle. That's why I'm so happy to be able to have the opportunity to speak on your program and all these other programs as well. And like our good friend Zach Carter, as you know, has really helped me get this message out, and it's given me ample opportunity to do so.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that music is weaponized, because it definitely is. They have a whole nother agenda, like Mike said. People who are writing certain types of music, they get to go into the big circus, as well as where people who have meaningful messages rarely ever get found or picked up unless it's by their own doing. So I think that's all crazy.
It's true. Young kids by nature, young people by nature, are lost in a lot of ways. So you have these masses of kids, these young people who, again, just by being young are lost. And one of the things when they get into these artists and they find these Black Lives Matters, for example, movements, it fills these individuals. It makes them feel like they're powerful, like they're part of something, but without the the knowledge of all sides of the what they're taking up, the ignorance that is so profound. Again, I'll use that word. The ignorance is so profound in our younger generation, and so many of these kids for lots of reasons, that again it becomes dangerous, because I often, a good friend of mine in Arkansas used to say, how could you ever really understand what we've lost as a nation, as a society, as a culture, if you have no idea what was there in the first place? And I think that that's so true to the younger generation that we're dealing with, that's taking their orders, so to speak, or being really led and pushed around by culture and music. They have no idea truly what liberty is, or truly what Marxism is, or fascism, or what socialism has done in the past. They have no clue, because we're such a spoiled nation. These kids, these people, all of us, we're so spoiled. We've completely lost the point of reference, where you have a big screen TV and Reebok shoes on, and you're like, oh man, life sucks. Life is really hard. I'm poor. It's just not reality.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I was listening to the local radio when I was driving here in Wisconsin, and they were talking about how farmers, they can't hire any help. Nobody wants to work for them because they feel it's too hard to get up at 3 a.m. to help them milk the cows. And so they're turning to immigrants as a source, because they're actually showing up to work. Which it kind of goes to this whole idea that, our nation has gotten really lazy overall.
It's entitlement.
Yeah, it's entitlement. You deserve to be lazy. You get to be lazy.
But I think, personally, I believe that's part of the programming. I think this was the intended result of, big government. This is the kind of society that was intended, because they want people to be, addicted to government, because without daddy government, what would you do? You got to have them be your provider now at this point.
They're mommy and daddy.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Both Democrat and the Republican Party are both guilty of that. There's a lot of folks say, oh, the Republican Party, sure, they're not against that, but it's not true, because if we were all truly free, if there was true liberty in this country, most of those Republicans would be out of a job now, wouldn't they? So there really is no reason for them to let go of that power.
Yeah, I wanted to take it back a step here. I know you were talking about your passion for music and everything, but I have to ask you, at a young age, you started a band, I'm assuming, and how did you end up being the frontman for the Misfits?
Oh man, it's a great story. I was at the right place at the right time. I was, I'll give you the short version. I was in a local band. We needed to record a demo. Someone at the time said, listen, open up the newspaper and look for the biggest ad you see. Those are the people that you want to go with, because they're spending money on advertising, so it's probably a good deal. So I found a studio in Lodi, New Jersey. It was called Real Platinum. It was owned by Bobby Aleka. I called up Bobby, made some time. We went down there. We were recording. While I was doing the vocals, Bobby said, I'm working with a band called the Misfits. You seem to have some talent, and they're trying to get back together. They need a singer. Here's Jerry Only's number. Give him a call. I called Jerry, and Jerry said, why don't you learn some of the material and come down and give an audition. And that's what I did, and I hung around for quite a while. I actually auditioned it was the eve of my 20th birthday, and I spent just about a year with the Misfits, rehearsing and going through all the things that was happening. They wanted Dave Anian to come sing, and they weren't sure about me. So jump to we're approaching Halloween, and the Misfits needed to relaunch on Halloween, and if they didn't do it, they were going to have to wait another year to do so. So then an opportunity came up through a band called Typo Negative, and they invited the Misfits to come out and perform some songs for them. During their encore on Halloween at the Roseland, and they took it and they said, well, we don't have a singer, and Pete Steele. They asked Pete Steele to do it, and Pete said, sure, great, I'll do it, no problem. Only problem is I don't know any of the songs. So those guys called me and they asked me to teach Pete the songs, and I was a huge Typo Negative fan. And so I said, of course, and we all went, and we were in the rehearsals studio in Brooklyn that Typo used, and in the middle of it all, in the middle of this rehearsal, Pete stops everything and he says, this is your singer. This kid is better than anybody else in this room. He's fantastic. How can you not be running with this kid? And from then on out, I was the singer of the Misfits.
Wow, what a compliment.
That's a pretty good endorsement.
From your hero, too.
Pete Steele
like
saying that you
band.
should be the front man, I think that's a badge of honor right there.
It was incredible. It was incredible. And, yeah, I stayed in touch with Pete, until the day he died.
Jeez, at the age of 20, man. That's when you got to do it, though. You got to
thrown
do it
right in. That's crazy. So young. I mean, just like thrown into that with an established band and guys like Typo Negative. That's crazy.
There had to be a lot of pressure, too, I'm assuming, being that young. I'm assuming that band that big at that time had a lot of strict rules at some point. I know that I worked a little bit in the music industry at a venue and toured a little bit, and a lot of the bigger bands, they tend to have a pretty strict, you got to get on the bus at this time, you got to be here at this time, and it's pretty interesting. At a young age of 20, there you are touring the United States as the front man of the Misfits, Michael Graves. That's a fantastic story. So, though, we're going to be coming up to the break here. This is the rundownlive.com. You guys can tune in nightly, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Central, 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern. And don't forget to check out the Rundown Live app. It's available free on your iPhones and your Androids, as well as your tablets, cell phones, and just about every other platform out there. So.
We're saturated. Music is a crazy thing. It's like it's so amazing how it can really affect people's emotions and their minds and get them thinking. I think that's why, like Mike said, it's literally used for good and evil. So I think if more people got involved and thought about the things that they are writing, you could really use music for good. But 3 minutes, guys. We'll be back.
There's the break, guys. A little late today. I was like, where's the break?
Three minutes. Michael Graves, michaelgraves.net. Check it out.
Attention. Attention. Do not attempt to adjust your radio. We are in control of.
All right, we got 3 minutes, Michael, just so you know.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I like the idea of thinking about how music can really influence people, and then you look to popular music and you see all this symbolism and what they're talking about and how much money and women and all that kind of stuff, and you really see that there's an agenda there. Even though not all the artists are in on it, they know that that's what they have to talk about, otherwise they won't be popular.
It's like a culture almost.
Yeah, it is. Most thinking people, I find, though, see right through it, especially nowadays. I mean, when you look at a lot of, again, especially like the popular music, the hip hop and rap, I mean, and even a lot of the rock, it's just, it's like fish bait. It's just shiny shit in the water for people to look at, and young kids, they see the wealth and drugs and money and power and everybody is looking at me. It appeals to all the bad things in our human nature, ego and narcissism, and it's just fucking empty.
It's true, and that's what people want. Everybody wants to be famous. I mean, it's really an ego-driven society. And there's people that don't want to be famous that get that kind of platform, and those are the kind of people that you see that use it usually to benefit, people, help them out. But it seems like a lot of these people, they just look at a guy like Kanye West. I mean, what is he doing? And now he wants more money. It's just crazy. I don't really want to talk about that, though, in the second half. When we come back, we got about 45 seconds. I kind of want to talk about, are you going to vote? I just want to hear your opinions on those kind of things. Maybe talk about Trump a little bit, and then we'll get into more your political side.
All right, I'm back, guys.
Right on.
I had to take a little break there for a second.
No problem, Kristan. We got about 30 seconds. I'm going to pull the network back on, and then we're going to talk about election 2016, Trump, and Michael's political views.
Fantastic.
And punching Kanye West in his face.
Yeah, you can definitely say it. Hey, and also, we want to make sure that you get to plug your tours, your music, all that stuff at the end of the show, so I'll make sure I get that in at least 5 minutes so you can plug that stuff.
And I'm definitely coming down to kick it with you on April 9th. Or 10th it's on, but I think I'll come up on the 9th. So we're down.
Awesome. Great.
So the vibration.
All right, here we go, guys.
Freaky Friday with the Wool Crew.
Kristan, bring us in.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out the rundownlive.com. Mike P. Kristan H. The Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out the rundownlive.com.
TheRundownLive.com. We're here with Michael Graves. We were just talking about politically infused lyrics. And I got to ask you, Michael, are you planning on voting this upcoming election?
Of course. I absolutely will vote.
Any idea? What do you think of the current political, what do we got going on here? Geez, verbal disaster. I'm like having a stroke on air, guys. What the hell's going on?
The political circus, Kristan?
There you go, the political circus.
Yeah.
Old Donald Trump.
It's so crazy your brain can't even wrap its mind around what's happening. It's so crazy. I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump.
You're voting for Trump, huh?
I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump. Yep.
It's interesting that you say that, Mike. I didn't really want to ask you who you're voting for, but now that you said it, I mean, it's like, man, are we doing the lesser of two evils? Do you really believe in what Trump's saying? What are your opinions on that?
I believe most of what Trump is saying. I don't believe that there's any perfect candidate ever. I don't think it's not a lesser of two evils. I really believe that Donald Trump is the real deal. And what I mean by real deal is he's beholden to nobody but himself and his organization. There's not special interest money flowing into where he has to make sure that he's going to have to take care of these people. He's gone after, just the other night, he said, very boldly that he would prosecute Hillary Clinton. He's taken a stand on immigration, which is a huge. It's so important for the future of our country, for the integrity of our society, for the integrity of our culture, for anything. In order for you to have a country, you need borders. That's way important. Donald Trump is a builder. He wants to build things. I love how he came out unapologetically and took Jeb Bush to task about 9/11 and talking about the 28 unreleased pages. I'm in it for Trump because I believe as well that he's every day becoming more awake, and I hope that a Donald Trump administration will then have a Department of Justice, a real Department of Justice that is going to start to get us back and to reality, and start to prosecute the criminals and the horrible things that have happened presently and in the past, so that we can, when I talk to people, there's this frustration, frustrated about Benghazi, frustrated about 9/11, frustrated about whatever, and Justice Scalia just
yeah, we were
waking
just
up
talking
dead
about
one
that.
day. People want the American people want to know what's happening. So I believe that a strong Department of Justice will get us back on the right track, so that 5 years, 10 years from now, my children, my 2 young daughters that have done nothing to anybody, can then enjoy a renaissance in this country and all over the world, or that they deserve. And I really believe that this is our last hope, man. If we mess it up now, and we get somebody that's going to run this country that is less than that, it's going to make what the Nazis did, and any of these other examples that you can use of just it's going to make North Korea look like Disney World.
Yeah, I think Trump is a very interesting candidate. I can tell you, as a person who is a former Republican, I sat on the Platform Commission before I left to return to my libertarian roots, that many of the establishment types here, they're saying what I could not believe what I heard. They're saying that they'd leave the party if Trump got elected. And I'm like, boy, that's funny. 4 years ago, you said that we had to vote for Mitt Romney because he was the most likely and most relevant and most likely to get elected. But here you have Donald Trump, very electable, very likely to get elected. And now you got establishment types saying that they may leave the party. I think that it's great. I always felt if you have two parties that hate one candidate, that's your guy. And let's not forget, Donald Trump just came out and said, hey, we should definitely audit the Federal Reserve. That was a few days ago.
That's right.
He says a lot of good things.
That is huge.
I have problems with Donald Trump, though. And, okay, I look at Hillary Clinton, I look at Donald Trump, and I'm like, okay, which one is talking a better game? Well, we have to look at who is Donald Trump. He is the ultimate smooth talker. That's how he got to where he is right now. And I'm surprised, Michael, that you still have faith in government. Because for me, personally, I've lost all faith. I can't vote anymore. I know Kristan, he's still willing to participate. So I'm interested that you're still willing to believe that one of these guys will actually steer the ship right when we're looking at a lot of threats that really are, these people are just puppets to me. Like Hillary, Donald Trump, it doesn't matter. Do you think they're actually going to make real change?
Yes, whoever's going to be the president is certainly going to make change. I believe that Donald Trump certainly hasn't risen to where he's at right now just by bravado, by words. Hillary Clinton has never done. What has Hillary Clinton done in her life? What sort of job has she ever done? She's never created anything. She's lived a completely different life, a completely different existence than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not he's not. There's not all this special interest money that's flowing into this guy's coffers. Trump made Trump. He has a beautiful family. He's built all of these. He wants to build things. I think that Hillary Clinton wants to destroy things. Trump's the only one with a positive message saying we need to feel good again. We need to win again. We need to be unapologetically American. All you hear from all the other candidates, especially on the Democratic side, specifically on the Democratic side, is how bad everybody gives the black people the hairy eyeball, and we hate immigrants, and we need to change our values, and we need to try to live up to our values as Americans. We haven't done so in the past. Give me a break, man. Give me a break.
Well, I gotta say, what would you say to the 2012, the 2008 Ron Paul supporter? Would you tell them to, look closer at Donald Trump, to maybe get behind him? Or because a lot of our listeners, a lot of the people that are waking up, they supported a guy like Ron Paul because of his message. And I look at a guy like Ron
Bernie
Paul
fans now.
and I look
don't know
at Donald Trump, and I see a couple things that Trump says that are similar to Paul, but they're not on the same page. I would love it, though, if Trump got a guy like Ron Paul in his cabinet. That would be awesome.
That would be tremendous. And let's not forget that Rand Paul is still in the Senate. And I was behind Rand Paul before he dropped out. I think that any sort of Rand Paul supporters that have now gone over to Bernie Sanders are just that's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. And if that's the truth, then those individuals are way ignorant, way ignorant. They're not doing their homework. So yeah, if you're a Ron Paul supporter or a Rand Paul supporter, which I was both. I threw, I contributed as much time, effort, and money as I could into the Ron Paul campaign. But Ron Paul, Rand Paul are not running. They can't really help us now. Rand Paul is obviously in the Senate, and only hope that we have as libertarians, as constitutionalists, as human beings, is it's not Hillary Clinton. It's certainly not Bernie the Bum Sanders. It's not Rubio. I mean, please.
Well, Bernie Sanders is not talking about 9/11 at all. I can say that for a fact.
Of course not. You think that he's going to say anything about Clinton and Benghazi, what happened there? You think that he's going to talk about the true nature of the Iraq War or Afghanistan? You think Bernie Sanders is going to stand up to North Korea or the Chinese?
Well, he's going to promise you more food stamps.
Or even the heckling of Monica Lewinsky. Remember that? She was heckling Monica Lewinsky, woman power there.
Bernie Sanders is going to take a $19 trillion debt and triple it, if that's even possible.
I definitely think it's possible with the way they print the money these days.
They just keep printing it out.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I think that a big reason why a lot of libertarians have been turning to Bernie, as I've been seeing, and I think it's like you mentioned, odd, is because they think the ship is sinking and they might as well get all the freebies they can in the meantime. But, I think the ship still can be turned around. I'm one of those people. I really hate switching to captain on the Titanic per se, but I think that if you get the right captain in there, he can at least try to avoid some of the icebergs. So I'm with you. I think Donald Trump is a best option out there, and I'm thinking about voting Donald just because I know that a lot of the establishment types absolutely loathe him. They can't stand him, and I don't know why, other than they don't know what he's going to do.
Because they can't control him, like Michael was saying.
That's it. That's it. That they can't control him. They can't control him. He's talking about 9/11 truth. He's talking about prosecuting Hillary Clinton. He's talking about. You don't think that I guarantee you that this Justice Scalia thing is not over. And that's the thing. A Trump presidency and a strong Department of Justice and a strong backing of the American people to say, yeah, let's get this right. Let's do Nuremberg trials part 2, and let's bring these people to justice for what they've done. And get it over with and write what we need to write and move on so that our children can inherit a country so that they don't have to live under flaming tyranny.
Yeah, it's incredible to see how all this is going in the whole direction, but
I worry about the police state either way. Whether it's Trump or Hillary, I worry that it's going to continue ratcheting down on our freedoms either way.
Listen, man, I agree with you. I am not an advocate. I'm not in any way, shape, or form advocating violence at all. However, I don't believe that we get to the next part of all this without without a fight. Whoever it is, if Hillary Clinton gets in, civil war. If Trump gets in, I think it at the very, very least, massive civil unrest. I don't think we're getting through this without a fight.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because there's a lot of people that are seeing all the jerry-rigging that's going on in the elections. We saw a lot of that in 2012 with Ron Paul, with the delegates, and obviously the primary in Iowa and New Hampshire, and
it's like your vote doesn't even
Nevada,
count. You go vote, and it doesn't even matter because they're like, oh, by the way, the delegates,
and I
the
think
electoral college. That's the way it works.
What do you think happens at the Republican National Convention if Donald Trump is screwed like Ron Paul was, if not worse? Where they start changing the rules and maybe sneaking in their delegates in place of Trump delegates.
That's the thing. That's what the Republican establishment perhaps might not understand. None of these TV pundits can figure out Trump. I'm going to give everybody the big secret. All the folks that are our age that got behind the Ron Paul revolution, that understand, again, the true nature of Iraq, Afghanistan, all of these issues that we're talking about, the Federal Reserve, 9/11, the truth. We all know what the truth is. We all know, and we experienced and saw what they did to Ron Paul. It's all that is over now. We're awake. We get it. We understand that that all these guys that signed up and went over there to Iraq and Afghanistan that fought and died and gave limbs and blood. We know now what's up. So if they decide to pull these dirty tricks and try to steal the election somehow, we the people. This silent majority, we're not going to take it anymore. There's going to be a final straw where where people are going to give up on the system of okay, let's do this in a democratic sort of fashion. At some point, there's going to be that red line that's going to be crossed, and somebody's going to be wound up, and it's just going to go. At some point, you have to say enough is enough. We understand what happened. We all left the Republican Party because we were carrying their water. We went to war for you. We carried the lies and we towed the line, and we've been left in the dust, and now we're being called crazy people. We're being put on these lists. The blessed vets are the most they're the biggest. They're the biggest domestic threat. They're the domestic terrorists now. That's crazy. That's insane.
Or if you are associated with Infowars, apparently now.
Yeah.
You're
now, if you read
extremist.
Infowars, you're domestic terrorist.
You can't talk about anarchy. You can't be anti-government. You can't talk about philosophy because all these things are
no anti-Common Core. You can't talk about 9/11.
Look, and Alex Jones constantly says it. This is not a game. They're coming for us, all of us. And people like Alex will be the first ones that as you see, that they're coming for. And Ben Swan and Michael Savage and on and on and on down the list. Sean Hannity is all of them. They're going to come for all of us, every single one of us at the end of the day. So just turning a blind eye and saying, you know what? I'm just going to go along, get along. There's nothing that I can do anyhow. So whatever. I'm not like that. I'm in this 100%. I'm fighting for my daughters.
Well, even the church, it tells you that there's nothing you should do because this is Bible prophecy. So, just sit back and relax and let the New World Order take everything over, right? So it's crazy. Even the Pope is coming out against Trump.
Well, I say, Satan, get behind me, because at the end of the day, this is the age-old battle of good versus evil. When you pull away that curtain, that's who we're looking at. The guy that's pulling the strings, in my humble opinion, even if you don't believe it, it's the truth, is Lucifer. It's Satan. It's the devil and his minions. It's the darkness fighting against the light, and I take up the side of the light every time.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, Michael. I wanted to switch gears real quick with you and talk about something a little more fun for a second. Have you seen all this new virtual reality that's coming out? And now they got virtual worlds. You put on these virtual goggles, you go to the park, and it makes everything virtual for you. Well, the future of music, how do you think things like holograms and holographic technology and virtual reality is going to affect music? Do you think that bands are going to start, infusing their ideas with these different types of technology?
I haven't really put much thought into it. Any sort of technology that is used in a creative way. I mean, I could certainly imagine some really, really cool ways to use that sort of technology.
Well, you could propel your hologram to like 5 concerts at once. You could perform in 5 places at one time, one being the real you, and 5 can be fake holographic.
Yeah, I just naturally, I don't want to sound like the old guy resisting technology and all, but I think that before we really embrace this whole virtual reality stuff, and the further we get from what's real, what's really real. Why can't we just go and walk in the park and smell the air and look at the sun and enjoy it that way? Why does everything have to be enhanced? And I'm just so afraid that we're all going to wake up one day and humanity is just going to be sitting in some gelatinous bubble with goggles over our eyes and earbuds in our ears, and we're just going to have, we're going to unplug from this physical that we know. And when we get back to the truth, when we get back to more simple things, I think that there's just such beauty in God's world that doesn't need to be enhanced by anything but our own spirits and our soul.
And try being creative. I think people really need to unleash their true humanity and start, looking at art and being creative and writing and doing these things that, they let the TV and the internet entertain them so much that they forget that they can create, that they can build, that they can actually do things. And I think that's the most important thing we can help people do, is empower them. Like, you're not useless. You're not just a slave. You can actually do things with your life. You have that opportunity. Especially as bad as America is, we have that opportunity here to actually create a show like this, to talk to people and give them information. You can start a rock band in America and actually reach millions of people. I mean, and that's a very cool thing. You can tour in the bus and put the gas in, right?
That this year more bands will tour than any other because gas is right around $1 a gallon, and I can tell you there isn't better touring gas prices anywhere else.
Tristan, it sounds like you just went into the Matrix there for a second. I don't know.
Wouldn't doubt it.
I don't know what happened there, but Michael, we only have about 4 minutes left with you, so I want to make sure you get to plug your music, your websites, if you're on tour or anything like that, where people can find out more information about you.
Yeah, I just released a new record called When Worlds Collide. It's available on iTunes. We sell the physical CDs directly through hydraulic-entertainment.com, hydraulic-entertainment.com. You can get copies of it, signed copies of it, or you could come out and see me on the road. Tomorrow night is I had a warm-up show in Albany this weekend, but tomorrow night in New Jersey kicks off a 54-city tour of When Worlds Collide. It's a full band tour. The tour dates are up at michaelgraves.com. There's also my Facebook.com/michaelgraves, and on that you'll find links to my Twitter, my Instagram. So there's, like I said, there's 54 dates on this tour. So I'm hitting just about every state in the union. So I encourage your listeners to come out. I am not the type of artist that stays backstage. You come to a Michael Graves show, and not only do you get a great show, high energy, old Misfits songs, to all the way to what I'm doing now. But I'm out. I hang out by the merch booth. I walk around. I talk to people. I listen to their stories. I answer their questions. I hug them. I shake their hands. I sign stuff for them. So yeah, come on out. And Graves.net is the correct place to go to find the tour dates. MichaelGraves.net.
All right. Well, Michael Graves, was great to have you on. We're close to a venue called the Rave or the Eagles Club. I'm sure you've been there, huh?
Yes, I have. Maybe next time I come on, I would love to tell the story about that venue and Bob Dylan.
Well, we got a minute and a half.
I might have been there the same day because I used to work there for 3 years. So we'll have to have a conversation maybe when I come down to visit you in Chicago.
Right on.
All right, bro.
Right on.
You have a good night. Thanks for joining us on the rundownlive.com. We'll talk to you soon.
Make sure everybody goes and checks out michaelgraves.net, Michale, graves.net. Thanks a lot, man. Take it easy.
All right. God bless y'all. Thank you.
You have a good night, bro.
Just a interesting guy, Kristan, you know how I feel about the old voting thing, but there's going to be a lot of people
fired up.
There's going to be a lot of people that still believe that Trump is the real deal, and I hate to say it, but Hillary's going to win. Okay, Hillary's got the delegates, she's got the establishment backing. It's set up for Hillary to knock it out, and that's what's going to happen. Trump, even though the GOP establishment dislikes him, I can't see him even winning in a general election, even if he is the GOP nominee or if he does run independent.
I think that he will be the popular candidate and he would have the popular vote, but I don't think with all the vote rigging that goes on, we'll actually be able to do that. But I will say, Mike, when I did do some research on fraud investigation, the hardest election to rig is the presidential election because
you don't even have to rig it. It's been stolen before. It's like this is such
Abraham Lincoln.
This is so
Bush. Remember him?
I mean, this is crazy. But I guess if you want to believe, I will not be voting. It's not going to make a difference.
Yeah, I'll be voting Trump.
Trump is not a savior. He's not going to help us. He actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Hitler. It's kind of scary. But on that note,
no.
What about tomorrow? What are we doing tomorrow, Kristan? By the way, Popeye's coming up next on TFR. We have a guest tomorrow, right?
Sure. Gary Tebow is going to be joining us. He's a forager expert and survivalist expert. He'll be teaching us how to live free off the land and for work.
So, and no, not Tim Tebow.
No, not Tim Tebow, who's, I guess, still incredibly popular in the NFL. He was ranked one of the more popular quarterbacks. TheRundownLive.com, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Stay classy, Denver. Stay classy. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Love you guys in the chat. Truth Frequency Radio is awesome. RundownLive.com is our website. Popeye is coming up next. That's a different thing to say. Down the rabbit hole you go.
Vote Trump.
Truth Frequency